JavaScript basic data types. So we learned about the number type. So in primitive types, we discussed about number type. How do we use a number? Means what are the various types of numbers, numeric values? Right. Next important after understanding number type. Now we have another option, that is how do we use Boolean type. What is a Boolean type? In primitive types, in order to store a numeric value, we use number type. As I already explained, it can be signed number, unsigned number. It can be floating point. It can be double, decimal, binary, hexadecimal, octal values. Now, Boolean types. Actually, a Boolean type is used to store a Boolean value. Boolean value which can be true or false. Actually, Boolean types are used in decision making. Boolean type are used in decision making. Decision making means checking the conditions. So a Boolean type is used to store a Boolean value which can be true or false. Important is JavaScript. In JavaScript, Boolean types can handle a numeric value while using over conditions and operations. In JavaScript, Boolean type can handle a numeric value while using over conditions and operations. That means actually in JavaScript, true means 1 and false means false is 0. The Boolean conditions can be verified with 0 and 1 also. They can be verified with 0 and 1. So usually Boolean type are used in decision making. We generally use in decision making. And Boolean values can be handled with 0, 1 also. They actually return 0, 1. Only in JavaScript and some other languages they return 0, 1. Few languages don't allow 0, 1. They will directly handle true or false. But in JavaScript it will allow. That means true means equal to 1 and false is 0 or 1. Remember, you should not store like where x is equal to 0. This is number only. where x is equal to false. This is boolean. This is boolean. That means that is a boolean, but returns returns a number, returns a number over condition and operation. It returns a number over condition or operation. When we are working with conditions and operations, then it will return a number, right? And that number is usually 0. False returns 0, true returns 1. So how they can be used? Simple example I will show you here. So let's see the boolean type. How do we deal with the boolean type? Actually, they can directly deal with true or false. So here I am defining like this. So where x is equal to true, and here I am writing a simple condition. If x is equal to 1, so it is compared, then document dot write, I will say x is true. I am writing like this. Else document dot write x is false. I am writing like this. That means now x is a boolean. You are using a number for condition, so it can verify with number. It can verify with number, and if it is 1, that means it can compare that it is true. So that means now you can see here. So when it is defining like this, you can see it says x is true. That means I am not comparing directly true. I am not directly comparing true. I am using the value of true as 1. Now important, if I keep it here false, that means it is not 1. If it is not 1, then it will say x is false. Here one important point is there. This is true. Suppose in the comparison, if I am saying that x is equal to 2, then what it will do? Anything which is not equal to 1, that will be obviously false. That means it will return false only. Even you define 0, it is returning false. If you define 1, then only it will return true. That is the reason it will face little bit confusion when dealing with numbers, because any number other than 1 will be treated as false in condition. That's the reason why we don't prefer like this comparison, but it will allow. We always prefer comparison directly by using true. So because anything other than 1 you enter, it will treat as false, not only 0. Then in future several problems will come. So even though JavaScript returns boolean as 0, 1, it is always recommended to use the boolean conditions with directly true or false. So decision making related, any interaction is managed through this, to this boolean type, true or false. And actually they return numeric value. So for example, if I say true plus true, that means it will return 2. False plus true, that means it will return 1. That means over any operation, they will actually return a number. But when you are using conditions, don't use numbers for conditions. Always use directly the keywords true or false. So that means it is important that it is recommended to use the boolean conditions always using true or false keywords, not 0 or 1, not 0 or 1. However, they return 0 1. That's the reason in future, when you are learning some strongly typed languages, in those languages this problem has been solved. Now no longer 0 and 1 are supported for true and false, directly only keyword true and false, right? Example, this is one example. You can use comparison 1, right? So currently it will work, but it is always recommended to use true or false for boolean conditions. Generally, in our real world development process, lot of decision making is done by using this true or false. Actually, let's see one simple example. When we are working with the general HTML controls, checkbox is the control. Checkbox is the HTML element that by default returns a boolean true or false. That returns by default a boolean true or false. Not even radio. If you remembered, in HTML I told you, if I don't define any value for checkbox or radio, checkboxes will return true false and radios will return actually boolean on off. Radius will be on off. But actually checkboxes can be defined with value. They also submit on off. For example, see one example, we will see how to handle that. Suppose let's design a simple doc type HTML head, and here we have a script and type text JavaScript. Okay, in the body, so we have a checkbox. Input type is equal to checkbox. Okay, here I will say, suppose a heading, I will put a label is in stock, and in the next line, in the div, we will keep this checkbox, and here say yes. Now temporarily I will put an ID for the checkbox, or I will keep a name for the checkbox. ID or name, ID is better, because if I use name I have to put a form also. ID as a stock is the ID. In stock is the ID. Okay, now I will keep a button, so we will keep a div and button. In the button we will say submit. Okay, and the type is equal to button. On submit click, I need to collect the value from checkbox, what is inside checkbox. Then what we will do here, is we will write on click. On click is equal to, so this is submit click. Okay, let's define that function. So function submit click. Now we need to collect the value of checkbox, but checkbox is not having any value by default. We will collect document dot write. First we will collect the value where stock is equal to, we will collect value document dot get element by id in stock dot value. That means in stock is referring to checkbox, and we are collecting checkbox value, and we are storing in this stock. Let's print document dot write. What is present inside stock? We will present what is inside stock. Now let's run this and see. It looks like this. I will simply select the S and click on submit. I will click on submit, and actually there is no value. If there is no value and you are submitting, then see, it should submit the value. So here on click we have to call the function. Here on submit click we need to call that function. So on submit click the function is called. We need to collect the value and display. So here it is on click directly, right? Yeah, fine. Now I will refresh and select this and click the submit button. It should collect the value. It says on. That means it is sending the value on. I will not select and click submit, then it is still on. Even I select this and click submit, it is on. Radios and checkboxes, actually by default they have the ability on or off. But checkboxes technically can handle boolean. They can handle boolean. Boolean is true or false. Radio button is also like that, same. I already told you this in HTML. Radio button is also submitting on. Usually what happens is from this checkbox, if you are returning any value, so if there is a value, the value, suppose I say true. So that means you can see here what happens is by default submit, it says true. It is accessing the value, and selected also true only. That means how do we verify whether it is selected or not? That is the important point, because if you don't verify, always it is going to submit either on or true. Actually for this we have to check the conditions. Here the condition is we should not collect the value. We have to use the property. How to know whether it is selected or not? That is intention. To know whether it is selected or not, we have to access a property checked. That is important. So checkboxes, when they are checked, by default they return true or false. That is the key point you should know. That means checkbox in HTML element. So checkbox is the HTML element that by default return a boolean true or false, special boolean true or false, based on checked property. Because how do we know whether it is selected or not? Based on checked property, not value, because value is what it contains actually, what it contains. So what we have to collect as value from that checkbox. By default, if you don't define value, radius and checkbox value will be on only. That will not tell whether checkbox is selected or not. Why? Because even you don't select, it will submit on only. In HTML, we have learned that it is going to submit on always. Checkbox radius always submit on. So checkboxes have a property called checked. This checked property by default returns true or false. And the same thing is done for checkbox and radio also. Checkbox and radio are the HTML elements that by default return boolean true or false based on checked property, based on the checked property. So remember, the value of checkbox and radio will be always on, right? It will be always on. The value for checkbox will be always on if no value is defined. If no value is defined, always it will be on. Now if you use checked property, you see now checked is a property. This checked property is in stock and you can see that. So I refresh in stock, yes. I click on submit, then it says true. If I don't select and submit, then it says false. So that is correct. You see here, I am not selecting and click on submit, then it submits true. I am not selecting and click on submit, that is false. When I select it, it will be true. I am not selecting, that means it will be false. So the checked property of checkbox and radius, by default, they return true or false. Based on that, we can add lot of logic that you will see examples later. Here, just we need to understand what is a Boolean type. Now I can display different messages according to that. Simple. For example, see what I am doing is, so document.write stock. I will write like this in the stock. Stock is equal to true, and question mark I will put available, and colon I will say out of stock, like this. Later we will see proper example, but here the intention is nothing but this is a simple if like condition. If this condition is true, it will print, it is a ternary operator, it will print available. If it is false, then it will print out of stock. That means when user selects yes, it says available, and user selects it is not selecting it, then it says out of stock. That's how it manages. If there are multiple checkboxes and radios, how to verify them? Those points we will learn later. This is not to understand such examples. This is just to know what is Boolean, and usually when Boolean is returned, usually when Boolean is used. So that is what important. On this, several examples we will practice. We will design so many examples. But this is just to understand what actually it returns. This is not only for, this is checkbox. Example of checkbox. Simply how to identify which one is checked. Not only checkbox, radios also similar. For example, I will give with a radio. Here I will write here I will write here as gender. So I will write here gender, and here after gender I will simply say that some choose gender, and we need radio buttons. We need radio buttons. So let's define the radio buttons here. So input type is equal to radio. Remember, radios should have a name, gender, and the value of this is male, and text is male. Okay. Again, input type is equal to radio, and the name is gender, and value is female and female. Okay. Now on submit click, I need to know the gender and display. Know the gender and display. So here I will refresh. This time it looks like this. Choose gender, male, female. Actually, out of these two, user can choose only one. Out of these two, user can choose only one. User can select any one only, because we given that name. We given that name. Suppose I want to collect the value. So then we can directly collect the value. We don't need much conditions because only one is selected. But actually not just collecting the value. I want to do some action, some interaction. Then we have to check the conditions. Actually, it is returning. It can directly return the value. But how do we know whether they selected male or female? How do we know whether they selected male or female? Actually, so they need an ID. Suppose I am giving an ID, OPT male. Okay, another ID, OPT female. Female. Now I need to verify which one they selected. Which one they selected, either male or female. Based on that, I need to write the logic. So here, what we have to do is, we have to write a simple condition. Condition is nothing but I am simply using. So first, we have to collect this male radio button and female radio button. To collect the radio buttons, we have to use var male radio, male option, male radio. Okay, how to get that male radio? Document dot get element by ID, OPT male. Now, no value, nothing. This is only to get that radio button. So if I give dot value, then it will get the radio button value. If I use dot name, it will get the radio button name. But if I give simply this, means it will return the radio button. That means radio button related all properties are now present here. Similarly, female radio button, where female radio is equal to document dot get element by ID, OPT female. That means you are collecting radio button. Okay. Now we need to verify whether those radios are selected or not. Based on that, we need to define functionality. Then what we do is, if we have to write male radio, if male radio dot checked, that means if it is selected, then document dot write, it should display a message that you selected sender, selected gender. I will simply say selected gender. Selected gender is what is the selected gender? Just complete message. I will say selected gender is male. Or We can do one thing. Selected gender is equal selected gender. We can get male radio dot value. That means the male radio value. You can see the male radio. This is the male radio. So this is the male radio value is male. So you may ask like why I need so much logic, because directly value will return, because later based on whether selected or not we need to handle lot of conditions, means lot of functionality. In that case this is the right way to handle them. This is the right way to handle them. Later in big examples I will show you how to verify whether selected or not. Now what this checked will do, it is a boolean property, it will return true. Similarly, if female radio dot checked, that means if it is checked, remember checked itself directly verify with true. You don't need to write equal to true. Checked means by default it will return true, it will verify with true. You don't need to write equal to true. Even you write equal to true, no problem. By default checked will return true only. That is the reason we don't need to compare with true. Directly we can simply say that if it is checked. Similarly, female radio is checked, then document dot write. So selected gender, and here we can put female radio dot value. We can get the female radio value and display. Now this is to identify. Here I selected male and submit, selected gender male. I selected female and submit, selected gender female. So collecting the value and displaying the value, it is actually can be done simply by using the value property. But every time we don't need value, because sometimes based on what they have selected I have to do lot of manipulations. Then it is very important to verify whether it is checked or not. And checked is a property which will directly return us true or false, and those true or false are boolean. So you will have to handle lot of boolean things, especially when you are dealing with radios and checkboxes, because the complete decision making depends on these boolean types. How to use these boolean types in our large examples we will learn later. Here I am showing you in future how they have to be handled correctly. So every time we don't want value. If we want value, then we can directly collect value and display. In this case, what I am doing, I am not collecting the value. I am collecting radio button. And in the radio button, I am storing in a variable. Remember, male radio, this is a radio button now. Radio button related all properties are accessible through these variables. And we are accessing a property called checked. Based on that, we are performing functionality. Right? Later, it will be very helpful in different examples. I will show you. We will design examples after understanding all these basics. This is only syntax to make you understand where and how to use these options. So this is roughly can be practiced. You can directly practice this for just radio and the boolean types. How to collect the boolean value from the radios and from the checkboxes. Radios and checkboxes will send us the boolean value based on which property? Checked property. Checked property will verify whether it is selected or not, and based on that it will return the value. Right? That is one important. How to handle multiple radios, multiple checkboxes, Those all things we will learn later, because for that we need loop, we need conditions. So we need to learn about looping and conditions. Then we can access them and use them, right? That part we will see later. How to handle that, we will see later, right? Yeah. Initially, this is one basic point to understand about Boolean types. So two important data types. One is number, another one Boolean. Boolean can handle only true or false. Can handle true or false. However, JavaScript supports 0 and 1 for false and true, but it is recommended always to use the word true and false. Right? That is important. Right. Next option is, after understanding the Boolean type, now we have a string type. String type. String type. In JavaScript, how to deal with the strings? How do we deal with the string type? First important, you should know, string is a literal. String is a literal with a group of characters enclosed in. It can be enclosed in double quotes. It can be enclosed in single quotes, or it can be enclosed in backticks. String is a literal with a group of characters enclosed in double quotes, single quotes, and backticks actually. So in JavaScript, this is double quote, and this is single quote, and this is backtick. Backtick is available from ES5 onwards, ES5 version onwards. So from JavaScript ES5 version, these backticks are available. Now, what is the purpose of backtick, and what is the purpose of single quote, double quotes, when to use them? That is important to understand. So remember, a string literal can contain alphanumeric, numeric, and special characters. Alphanumeric and special characters. It can contain alphanumeric and special characters enclosed in these three. That means, for example, if I say var name is equal to John, so this is valid. Var name is equal to single quote John, that is also valid. Var name is equal to backtick John, that is also valid. Then what is difference between them? When to use these three options: double quotes, single quote, and this is single quote, right? Yes, second one. Single quote and backticks. That is important. Let's see. For example, I will add a new file here simply, and I will just put here as a string.html. Okay. Here I am defining a simple script, okay, and a function, and just temporarily to understand the situation, we are calling the function var. So here I defined msg, message is equal to welcome to JavaScript. Okay. And document.write, I am printing that msg, message. We are printing the message. And usually it will print that message, welcome to JavaScript. So this is in double quote. You can add single quote also. Add single quote. So single quote, right? So you can see single quote also working. You can use backtick also. Backtick means you can write like this. Usually that backtick symbol is present in a tilde symbol. You see, you have a tilde symbol on your keyboard. On that symbol, directly press that key, you will get a backtick. and you can see backtick is also working fine. Then when to use these three, what is difference? Important is actually always always use single and double quotes, double quotes, double quotes to swap between inner and outer string, outer string. Actually, single and double quotes can be swapped between inner and outer string. What does that means? Is actually suppose I am defining here a double quote. I am adding an anchor here, close anchor. Anchor, it is home. I have to write a href. Href uses again double quote for string. Page name you have to write. It's not valid. That means I said dot slash home dot ml. It is not valid because already if you are using outer string in double quotes, then inner string means the string inside that string must be in single quote. You have to keep in single quote. Now you can see that it is displayed as a link. It's working fine. I click on home, it will get me the home page and show. That means it is designed perfectly. You can write like this. This is how we can define. That means the outer string. So outer string is like this. Outer string is defined in double quote. Inner string is defined in single quote. Actually, what we need here is we can swap between them. Swapping means if outer string is single quote, again single quote is not allowed. Then inner string can be in double quote. It will work. That means we can swap between inner and outer strings, but we have to use alternatively. Either outer string in single quote, inner string in single quote. If you are using outer as single quote, inner should be double quote. Outer as double, then inner should be single. Both will work. That means I will refresh. You can see that is also working fine. It's also working fine. That means we can swap between the outer string and inner string between single quotes and double quotes. That is what generally single and double quotes. Define single and double quotes. Now, important here is backtick. Backtick is new into JavaScript from ES5, and it is a string which can embed expression, and expression is defined by using $flower brace. Expression is defined by using dollar. Embed means within it you can integrate. Backtick is new into JavaScript. It is a string which can embed expression. Now what is problem previously? I will tell you. What is problem previously is nothing but, suppose I have var name is equal to John. Okay. And var age is equal to 23. Okay, I am printing a message, document.write. Now here I am writing in double quotes. So I have to collect the name. How do we collect the name? In order to collect the name, first what we have to do, we have to use directly name. Okay. First I have to print hello, then hello. Okay. After that, I want to collect the name. Then how do we add the name here? I have to use concatenation plus name. Then it will collect the name. Okay. After collecting the name, so again I want to print a message. Then plus again double quotes. So you will be, hello John, you will be. I have to write 23 plus 1, 23 plus 1, a calculation, expression. Then again, I have to write a plus. In the plus, you cannot directly write 23 plus 1. So you have to put in a parenthesis. That means this is the expression. That means here we are writing 23 plus 1. And I want to put another message, again plus. So next year. That is how we have to write a string with expressions. Now you will see a lot of breaks in your string, and expressions are added like this, concatenated. Expressions are concatenated. These expressions are concatenated and displayed here. Now see how it is going to print. It will print like this. Now see the problem. Hello John, you will be 24 next year. And see, there is no space between those concatenations. Actually, you have to care about those spaces also. That means after hello space, or usually we print the space by using again a quote like this. Then you know it will get a little space. And after John, again I have to print a double quote and it will print a space. And you can see it will print a space again. And after B, again I have to print a space. With empty string, that will be space. After 24, again I have to print a space here. Again I have to print a space here. This is very complex to present it. Now the new option is very simple. Document.write. We can start a backtick. Your expression can be in backtick. String can be in backtick. Here you can simply type hello and exclamation, and here you write simply flower brace, and you can access the name. And after that you continue, you will be, and I want expression again dollar, and the expression is age plus 1. That means here also instead of 23 plus 1 they can write age plus 1, right? So here directly age plus 1, and I will say next year. That's it. Wherever you want expression, you don't need any concatenation. Just embed the expression by using this. Remember, this is not allowed for general strings. It is not allowed for string in double quote. If you are trying string in double quote, this is treated as a string only. Only when you are using this in backtick, then it will treat as an expression. And now you can see that it looks more simple. And you can see that both output is same. I will just put here, after this I have to put a BR. BR will put a line break and it will be like this. Both look same, but the point is this looks more better. With the expression. So that is how we need to define string with expression. Right? So string with expression is defined by using backtick, and expressions are written in dollar. And this is an example for the string with expression. Without backticks, how it looks like. With backticks, how it looks like. So this you cannot use for single quotes or double quotes. This you can use only for backtick. So later it will be very easy for presenting with expressions and configuring them. That's what very important about this string. Now there are three ways of representing a string: single quote, it can be double quote, it can be backtick. Depending on the situation, we have to decide which one to use. Now, not just using it, important, we have string manipulations. Dynamically, how to manipulate the strings, how to verify and manipulate the strings. That is very important in JavaScript. For that, we have a lot of string functions. We need to learn about those string functions that we will see in next session. So on Monday, mostly by Monday, we can finish the string related examples. Then primitive types. Then we can go into non-primitive types, right? Monday we will continue with this. Okay, thank you.